This is the Astrology Show podcast with Jessica Adams.
Thanks, Shane. Here is your astrology and tarot for the week starting August 19. Aries. A logical, not emotional detachment about a duet or duel in your life can help you make some wise decisions. The South Node in Libra is also about karma. You owe or you are owed from what happened 18 or 19 years before, Aries. That is why the most repetitive situation with a partner, a rival, a duet or a duel appears to be on a circuit. This does end in January 2025, but this week reminds you that sometimes you have to look backwards in order to go forwards and figure out how you're going to pursue a closed chapter now and a closed book next January. Taurus. Well, the Mercury retrograde loop in Leo until September, from shadow to shadow, will probably make you feel quite stuck where your house, apartment, family, town, country, or real estate is concerned. This isn't a huge deal in the context of your year as a whole, or even 2025, because you are in a fantastic cycle of solutions and opportunities with everything that you own, earn, or owe. And this would include a house or apartment, maybe a real estate investment. So long term, you are being protected by this Jupiter transit, but short term, there may in fact be a loop, a circuit, stop, start, or even a cancellation involving the property. Gemini. The fourth house, where we now find your ruler Mercury going backwards or retrograde, also rules your house or apartment and any temporary accommodation. On a wider level, it also rules your homeland. It's not the end of the world when Mercury starts and is on a loop. However, you do need to allow for the fact that there will be all sorts of issues, maybe technical problems, concerns with a printing process, signatures, paperwork. And it's very important to understand that what is under discussion could be subject to change later or even come to nothing. So as you go into September and the sun goes through this same sector of your chart, showing you what's what, try to have plan B, plan C, and maybe plan D with the house, the apartment, any temporary accommodation, or your real estate. Cancer. Your approach to your extended family circle will be helped by your South Node in Libra cycle, which helps you aim for closure. You will either hit repeat scenarios of situations you have faced many times before, 18 or 19 years ago, or come across something new with a relative or somebody in your household which is strangely familiar. In fact, the South Node goes backwards through the zodiac, not forwards. So this is all about karma and also settling up and reckoning up from what was going on 18 or 19 years before, with a sign-off next January 2025. The kind of sign-off that you have depends on what you do partly this week, as it's pretty clear that you are definitely owed or you must repay on some level too. Leo. Pluto is in Aquarius, as you probably know, in your zone of duets and duels. This is about the pair of you, or one against one. The test now is actually to keep on taking the tests, as you will not see an outcome with this person until December, January, and February. As always with Pluto, the more self-control that you have, the greater the control that you actually possess. And the more willpower that you can use, the more self-discipline you can apply, the more powerful your position will be. Even though this is the kind of transit with the other person or the other side, where it is tempting to engage in people politics, it will complicate your life. And in fact, it's premature because it's not going to be until just before Christmas and into early 2025 that you see the true lay of the land with this person. Virgo, the long-term transits in Aries and Libra are triggered now. You can choose to stretch yourself further with your own financial, business, or property situation, or you can leave things until 2025 when Saturn and Neptune enter Aries and the lunar nodes change signs, just because it's easier to do that. So, really, this is a game of two halves. The first half of the game is now, and what you're going to be asked to do is aim for some closure with what you are owed or what you owe from 18 or 19 years before. But in 2025, particularly after January, what you're going to find is a whole new era with finance, business, or property, perhaps charity, and that may be hinted at this week. Libra, these tempting new situations, people, or places in your life may not necessarily have any connection to your own culture, nationality, or background. Jupiter in Gemini in your ninth house can be like that. This is a horoscope symbol of expansion, growth, solutions, and vast improvement, and it is with you until the middle of 2025. This week picks it up in your horoscope, so who or what you consider to be quite foreign to you is a going concern and a growing concern. If you have already made big strides here, then you can expect a game plan which works out extremely well for you by around this time next year. In other cases, this story in your life is brand new this week, but if you are hesitating about looking across the map or towards a different language or accent, your astrology chart tells you don't spend too long mulling over the benefits. It should be clear to you that all you really have to do is put one foot in front of the other. Scorpio, this week is about your future status and success. Aries weather rolls with the North Node in that sign and Chiron as well. And the future is calling from the present, as in 2025. Saturn and Neptune will also be in Aries in your sixth house of work, paid jobs, unpaid roles, and also any academic pursuits. This is where you do hard work and gain solidly from a new and better way of working, which could be described as a holiday from reality. In fact, it may point to retirement for some of you, or a deliberate change in lifestyle with maybe job sharing next year or a new approach to hybrid work. This week is part of the story. There are some small decisions here which will make more sense later. But in general, this sixth house transit calling to you from next year is about understanding that you can have your own reality. Sagittarius, the South Node in Libra, rolls the karma back socially or with groups. Pay special attention to the new friends that you cycle around with back and forth. The connection may be close so that you're instant best friends, or uneasy, so your new friend is a Mitford-styled frenemy. But however it pans out for you, life as it was 18 or 19 years before is asking you to call in karmic favours and also perhaps to pay back. It will be pretty evident to you that even though the faces and names are different this time around, what is unfolding is really familiar. And sometimes there is a literal karmic repayment. So it may, in fact, be exactly the same friends from all those years ago. The cycle ends in January 2025. Capricorn, the slow revolution since 2018 rolls on. Every time you take another quite radically different choice, you feel free. It's time to look at heirs, spares, and pretenders to your throne again. So, for example, your son or an entire generation, like Generation Z, and also courtship rituals as well as the bedroom. This transit is about revolution that brings freedom, radical change, independence to you, he or she, and although it goes in stops and starts and can be quite sudden in nature, it is also true that if you think back to life since 2018, you will realise that with every jolt came new space for yourself or the other person or people. Something very much like that is now shaping up again for you this week. Aquarius. This Pluto in Aquarius cycle will draw your attention to your image, appearance, and reputation. It's about the person that you see in photographs or in the mirror. So the comments about you on X Twitter and in the Daily Mail, if you are as famous as Harry Styles or Yoko Ono, who are also Aquarians like you. Stepping back from yourself as if you were in the shop window or on the front page is wise. It's not narcissism and nor is it ego. You just happen to be at the very start of the most important historic cycle in 248 years, and it takes some getting used to, as there will be decisions about how you are seen, how you appear, your name, reputation, and so on, in December, January, and February 2025, which profoundly change everything. Pisces. Chiron and the North Node in Aries precede Saturn and Neptune in Aries next year. This is about finance now and tomorrow. The money, business, charity, home, or possessions this week offers a gateway to what will become a holiday from reality for you next year and for many years into the future. At the same time, you also have to understand a waiting game in 2025 and 2026. Seeking professional advice early on is not a bad idea, or just updating yourself on what's happening out there in the world of taxation, for example, or the new ways that business can be run. This week brings numbers your way that will make sense to you emotionally next year. And now your birth chart. If you have factors in Virgo, you are looping the loop in your sixth house of workload and well-being. Mercury retrograde in Virgo is with us. Rescheduling for work or health reasons, then rescheduling again is very common. So plan B, C, and D is very sensible. Your tarot card this week can be decoded at my website. Aries, the Two of Cups. Taurus, the Empress. Gemini, the Four of Wands. Cancer, the Ten of Cups. Leo, the King of Wands. Virgo, the Two of Wands. Libra, the Three of Wands. Scorpio, the King of Pentacles. Sagittarius, the Five of Cups. Capricorn, the Ace of Wands. Aquarius, the Hermit. And Pisces, the Three of Pentacles. Fated connections now are Aries and Leo, who both have big decisions in their seventh house of dating, mating, relating, and separating. These choices will come near Christmas, across New Year, and also near Valentine's Day, 2025, and the seeds are sown this week. Happy birthday if it's your birthday. Now, there is no such thing as a cusp of Leo and Virgo, so use your time, place, and date of birth to find out with a personal chart at my website or free calculations at astro.com. Babies born this week have Neptune in Pisces, and they are naturally psychic. As children, they may see or hear their departed relatives in the spirit world. Famous birthdays this week include Phil Lynott, who would have been 75 on August 20. Robert Plant is 76 on the same day. Budgie is 67 on August 21. Joe Strummer would have been 72 on August 21. Shaun Ryder is 62 on August 23. And Keith Moon the Loon, would have been 78 on August 23. Let's look at the Jupiter-Saturn square, which everybody is talking about on the 19th of August. Jupiter at 17 Gemini is square Saturn at 17 Pisces. Now, right on cue, Google has launched Pixel 9 phones with advanced AI or artificial intelligence, and there will be obstacles. These new Pixel phones feature what they're calling Gemini Live. So they obviously have an astrologer on the staff, and they're saying this will bring free-flowing conversations with an AI bot. Just two problems here. One of them is Mercury retrograde, and the other one is this whacking great square. A square shows what you cannot square, and it's not just only Google, it's going to be the whole of the internet, as everybody is tapping into Jupiter and Uranus in Gemini. But it's pretty clear that not everybody is doing it right, because this timing is about one hurdle after another. When we're talking about the internet, which Gemini rules, we're talking about expansion, of course, with Jupiter in Gemini, and AI assistants are everywhere. At the same time, we're seeing social media, like Twitter, expand its role so that it's almost choosing the winner of the next US election. Elon Musk, who owns Twitter, interviewed Donald Trump and told him that he would love the billionaire CEO to have a role in a future Trump White House administration during an interview on X. This was an interview on X, which was delayed 45 minutes by technical issues. Musk blamed it on a massive cyber attack. Well, you're going to see more of the same on this square. You're also going to see a kind of clash in the heavens between Christianity and God and the internet. This is typical of what we're seeing with Trump and Musk. With Trump, for example, he said, and I quote, "I'm a believer now. I'm more of a believer in God, I think." And this happened after the apparent assassination attempt at his rally. So whenever you get Pisces clashes in the heavens with Gemini clashes, you get the internet versus God, or you get the internet versus religion per se. So however it's going to show up for you, it may be universal or it may be personal. You may, for example, find that you get into a wrangle online over religious belief, pulling in perhaps Gaza or Ukraine. These sorts of transits are always a real problem with all religions, including Christianity itself, which is associated with Pisces, the fish, the fisherman, and all fish symbolism, but also any rival to Christianity, any other competing faith or belief system. And that's because Saturn is always hard work. It's always a big stretch. It's always full of restrictions and limitations. And here it is in Pisces for the first time in 28, 29 years. Normally, what you have with this transit is just a kind of background noise so that religion is a big, heavy burden for you or for other people. But what happens when you get transits involving Pisces up against Gemini is that suddenly it all comes crashing down and everybody has to deal with the way things are, not the way they'd like them to be. At the moment, we have big media companies actually using astrology. It would appear to be the case with Google, talking about personalizing Gemini with gems. They're talking about Gemini advanced subscribers, creating gems or customized versions of Gemini. A gem is a gym buddy, a chef, a coding partner, or a creative writing guide, who is, of course, a robot. The future of all of this is still being written, and it won't really come home to roost until 2025, when Uranus, the real revolution, goes into Gemini. What you're seeing at the moment is a kind of first attempt or second attempt. It's going to cause problems in future with people who have a precious little grasp on reality, because we always see Pisces, which is alternative reality, up against Gemini. But for now, all you need to do is really look after your own life online. The other thing that we're looking at as we go into August is a big full moon catching us between Aquarius and Leo, with Taurus in the middle. Now, I have made a video about this at the Astrology Show on Substack for people who subscribe to that. But you also need to know that you will be caught between a rock and a hard place as we go through the rest of August. This will be because other people are facing inner conflict about something that they cannot reconcile, which affects you, or it may be because your chart is picking this up and you're the one who's on the horns of a dilemma. More time and space is always a good idea on a full moon, and you can actually see it. You can see it building in the night sky above your apartment or your home. You can also see it building in the way that people seem to be taking one step after another towards a bridge that you know perfectly well they cannot cross. It may also be true for you because you are affected by them. The three signs concerned are Aquarius, which rules friends and groups, Taurus, which rules money and property, and Leo, which rules courtship, the bedroom, the world of children, and young adults. So, in one, two, or all three areas, because of your birth chart and the way it's set up, you are going to see jigsaw puzzles that don't fit, jigsaw pieces that can't be jammed into the picture. Whenever this happens, people sometimes try harder. So, what you see is actually going to complicate what was just a basic full moon experience. It's wise to try and let the full moon pass and move on before you or anybody else tries to get stuck in further into some kind of solution. A full moon is always a full stop. It looks like a big round full stop in the sky, which is one easy way to remember it. The most famous full moon in the 20th century took place on D-Day, and that gives you an idea of what we're up for. Japan is caught absolutely squarely by this full moon and this transit with Uranus, the planet of shock, in Taurus, the sign of currency, trade, and cryptocurrency. There are three charts for Japan. They all have factors at 27 degrees, which is pretty unusual. And it's that factor at 27 degrees that is going to be caught up in what they call a T-square. A T-square in the heavens is pretty unusual. And it's not just Japan. It's also the Conservative Party in Britain. Everybody knows that they need a leader. Names are being bandied about. What this particular full moon is going to do as August goes on is catch them between a rock and a hard place. In fact, if you're in a political party, you have to wonder why you're even bothering to name names and make appointments, because Mercury has been retrograde for such a long time. So what is apparently an absolutely final binding decision by September won't be. And in addition to this, for the Conservative Party, you have to look at the US. Everything that appears to be in place with the double acts that are coming forth from the Republicans and the Democrats is a movable feast. Oils ain't oils. This is pretty typical of Mercury retrograde decision-making. And the elephant in the room is Biden, which everybody seems to have forgotten. But the astrology is saying between September and November, there are major issues here about power and control in the White House. So there's lots going on globally. In your own life, if you have anything in Leo, Aquarius, and or Taurus, the fixed signs of the zodiac, then you are going to see impossible situations that are too difficult to reconcile as the full moon builds. If you're dealing with other people who are Aquarius, Leo, and or Taurus, you will see that classic thing of a fixed sign forcing to unfix what is fixed. Try not to draw too many conclusions about what is going on in August and into September. We have all these transits rolling backwards for a start. So big declarations and absolutely certain judgment calls and all the rest of it is likely to come unstuck later on. It's a very good time for you to be rehearsing and to be having plan B, plan C, to put things on a sketchboard or a mood board, to think about perhaps going back to things later on in the second half of September when you know what's what and who's where. The other thing about the lunar cycle, which I'll finish with, is that people associate a full moon with loony behaviour. So you often read about the police, for example, having to brace themselves for a full moon, or emergency departments in hospitals reporting an increase in admissions. We certainly do see more road crisis and traffic crisis on something like a full moon eclipse, but that may just be because there's more traffic on the roads as people queue up to see it. There is really nothing else to say about a full moon except it does affect sleep patterns for the simple fact that it's so very, very bright. And not everybody can screen out that night light. When people's sleep patterns are disturbed, their state of mind is disturbed. They're more tired, for example, or they're more vulnerable to fluctuations in their peace of mind. So that might explain it for you too. That's not an astrological explanation, it's a logical one. But in any case, the full moon has always been associated with leave well enough alone, unless you absolutely have to go in there, which of course on D-Day they did. I hope you enjoy the rest of the week anyway, and we'll catch up next time. Thanks for listening.